In this video, we'll take a look at how to set up your objectives in Healthy Reserves. Before we dive into the details of setting objective, let's take a brief look at what the complete Getting Started process looks like. We'll be using the included Quick Start Guide and sample worksheet throughout these videos. Healthy Reserve makes extensive use of Excel's macro automation, so remember to always enable macros when prompted. In Step 1, you'll enter information about your association's financial objectives and current reserve status. This information will be used by Healthy Reserves as input into the long-term funding plan. We'll be covering this section in more detail shortly. Moving on to Step 2, you'll begin to build your component inventory, the foundation of your analysis. On this sheet, you'll enter detailed information on expense items, including cost and life expectancy information. These will be the items that need to be replaced as part of your reserve funds over time. And finally, Step 3, the funding plan. Once you have your financial objectives entered and your component inventory built, you can start to get a picture on the state of your reserve fund. We'll go over how to use Healthy Reserve to find solutions to funding shortfalls, such as those shown in red in the funding video. With our process now completed, expense projections in your expense summary report are created. These reports will provide deep insight into the health of your reserve fund, as well as where and when your expenses are planned to hit. That completes our brief Getting Started tour of Healthy Reserves. Now, let's move on to entering our objectives. On the objective sheet, there are several types of information you'll be entering. The first type of information is basic background information on your community, such as community or HOA name, how many units are in your HOA, and your starting reserve balance. Next, you'll enter your funding goal information. A funding goal can be dollar-based, such as maintain a minimum reserve balance of X dollars, or it can be percent-based. You need to enter at least one funding goal. However, you may want to enter a combination goal, such as maintain a minimum balance of $100,000 and maintain a minimum percent funded of 70%. Before setting up your funding goals, I recommend downloading and reading the NRSS guidelines on funding goals. Essentially, there's two types of funding goals: full funding or threshold funding. Healthy Reserves handles both options. You'll also notice that both of these goals refer to the concept of percent funding, which is a key reserve fund concept. Once again, the guideline document does a great job of explaining percent funded, and you should definitely get familiar with the concept prior to setting your funding goals. The good news is that you don't have to worry about the underlying calculations, as Healthy Reserves handles all of this for you. Back on the objective sheets, the final pieces of information that you'll enter are assumptions on what the annual inflation rate will be over the term of the analysis and what your assumed rate of return will be on your reserve balance. All of these inputs, combined with the information you'll enter in Step 2, will form the basis of your funding plan.